everyone, and welcome back to The Things We Know. Today, we are talking about something many people are feeling right now, but don't always know how to name. And that's the sense of helplessness when you look at what's happening in your community, in the country, to people around you, and you're not really sure where or how to step in.
Yeah, so this episode is for anyone who has thought, I want to help, but I don't know how, or I'm not an activist, or I don't have the personality for that. We hear that a lot. And we also know that taking action doesn't have to mean changing your whole life or becoming someone you're not.
We want to talk about what it actually looks like to get involved in ways that are realistic, grounded, and rooted in community. So I am beyond excited to introduce our guest, my friend of 20 years. I can't believe it. It feels like just yesterday. Kristy and I know each other personally, and over the past year, but really actually just kind of since the beginning, about 6 months, we've been collaborating together on Instagram as her advocacy and organizing work has grown. She is the founder of Buildtomorrow.chi on Instagram and helps run the Indivisible Edgewater chapter out of Chicago. She's working with a team of women in the whole Chicagoland area on content, education, and community organizing.
Mm. I was lucky enough to meet Kristy when we were in Chicago for our retreat. And just being there, well, also what was happening at the time, which
Yeah.
maybe we'll get into in a second, because there's crazy things going on there at the time that you were already on alert around. But just learning more from Lisa and then from you and about the work you and others were doing helped inspire me to come home and reach out to women in my networks in the Portland area to follow your lead and begin organizing locally. So thank you.
Kristy, I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the things we know.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to finally be here. Thank you for inviting me and waiting till we could find a date to do this. And I'm super excited to be here with you guys and talk about things.
Thank you. I'm so happy.
Mm.
I know when we started talking about this, it was a little bit like, ooh, do I want to be putting myself out there? But, you have 17,000 people following Buildtomorrow.chi. And when we started collaborating, you had less than 1,000. I mean,
Mhm.
you went viral this summer. Like literally, those are
Yes.
legit people. Those aren't, you didn't invite anybody to help you build like those are actual fucking followers.
Yeah, no
Amazing.
dollars spent. None,
No
no
dollars
dollars
spent.
spent on any of this. And it's really just been since September, like even
Yeah.
mid-September, I is when it really, really got going, thanks to ICE and Border Patrol arriving in Chicago.
Yeah, so let's just quickly before we move into the questions. I mean, when we were in Chicago for the retreat, the beginning of October is
Hmm.
right when ICE decided to raise its ugly head in Chicago. So they had been there about a week before we got there. And when the three of us got to see each other, we were on this amazing river cruise on the Chicago River, which was not only was the temperature perfect, but Chicago was beautiful. And at the same time, dear leader was telling everyone Chicago was a hellhole and one of the most dangerous places on earth. And even though you and I had already been doing some collabs, you'd already been doing this work for a couple of months at this point.
Hmm.
That's really when stuff started to hit for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can kind of talk about the timeline of when I started all this at any point, but yeah, starting this in April, I send my sister a screenshot used to be every 100 followers to be like, when I got to 100, my daughter, who's a high schooler, made a post for me with Kamala in the background. And it was like, thank you for 100 followers. And it's still
Cute.
on my grid and it's so cute. And it was like, I couldn't believe I had 100 people that wanted to like follow me that I didn't know. And it's just slowly built, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, there's 1,000. And then, it every couple days I'd have a few more. And then a post in September went everywhere. And in 2 days, I gained like 3,000 followers. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I had a bit of a panic attack. I thought, holy cow, like I wanted people to hear my stuff, but I didn't know I wanted that many people. Right. And yeah, it's just grown from there.
Yeah, because you were one of the things that we're already going off topic, but this is how
Yeah.
this is going to go today. One of the things that what I really like about what you do is you do kind of do a post almost daily, if not daily, depending on the situation, and you're sharing, well, what's going on. And yeah, it was one of your very first posts talking about what was happening with ICE, and some big influencers shared it. Jess Craven, Mandy Patinkin. When you
Amazing.
sent me Mandy
Wild.
Patinkin, I was like, what is actually happening right
Yeah.
now?
That's amazing.
I got the screenshots from people like no regular friends in the area, being like, Kristy. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like who, what? And it was the day that like I got home from school. I threw on the leash on Woody and like I didn't brush my hair. I think it was a Friday. Fridays we roll in our, sweatshirts and our hoodies. And I was like, and all I kept saying to people was like, I could have brushed my hair. Like I could have at least like this could have been one of the days that like I had looked a little more presentable than now that I'm like all over because then it like took on a life of its own, right? Like it
Yeah.
wasn't even me anywhere. People were using it without even Build Tomorrow anywhere on it, on Facebook.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was still me with the unbrushed hair and
And it was
I
funny because
still
we
laugh.
collabed on that one. You invited me to collab on that one. And so,
Yes.
we were going in, and I haven't for a while, but there for a while, I was still seeing bullshit responses. And I was just like, I was so glad I was a collab because I was just like, delete,
Yeah.
delete, delete.
Yeah.
Because,
Black, black,
honestly, if
black.
you've got 3 followers and no posts, you're a bot. So
Exactly.
you're leaving that post. Okay.
100%.
Let's
Okay.
get back to the
Back it
beginning.
up.
Sorry about that.
I was just I was just gonna say, like, I live for your posts, and I think because you provide so much comfort just being a Chicago suburban mom, right? Like, I mean, and teacher, and like you have this very comforting, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons it goes viral. It's like, here's a sane, nurturing person.
I hear that. Oh, that's like, I mean, the things people send to me, the messages, and it just shows how many caring and
Yeah.
wonderful people
Yeah.
are not only in Chicago but around the world. And that is one of the comments I get the most. And you hate to hear your own voice, right? So it doesn't sound that way to you, but or to me, but that is what I hear is like, oh my gosh, your voice, and people
It
are just
sounds
so
like a
kind.
warm casserole.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so Chicago. She's got one
yeah,
of the
I
the
do hear
strongest
that too.
Chicago accents
Yeah,
I've ever heard.
I know.
And I just want to, for the record, she does live in the city. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
And I don't want to make her,
Oh,
Thank you.
she's not
Ah,
suburban.
I didn't. I'm so sorry. I do
No,
know
it's
you live in the
okay.
city, but
you're fine.
I think for some reason
You
it
know
just
me.
captured that feeling of like, look at even
Well,
like
that's just
a
it, right?
yeah,
And that's, I
yeah.
think that's the key,
Thank you
right?
for the correction because I'm very particular about that here as well.
I know you are. I know you are. No, I think, but that is the key, right? That you are, and that's why we wanted to have you on, right? You are just a mom
Yeah.
who, again, you shared, you did not grow up in a political family. And you believed everything that we were taught in history class, as did Carrie and I. I mean, we all did, right?
Mm.
And you didn't really have much exposure beyond that. You wrote that becoming an activist and a community organizer has been such a huge change in your life. Can you talk about that shift? Like, what
Sure.
was it that made you start Buildtomorrow.chi in April?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Obama won and we were in your condo, Lisa.
Yeah,
My son was born in 2008, so he was just a little guy and he was being passed around the party. And as fun as that was, and like as excited, I was like, this is amazing. I literally knew nothing about like I voted for him. It was awesome. I just assumed like good would win and Obama's
right.
going to win. And I didn't do anything to help that happen. I was also a brand new mom going through that. So I don't think I really realized there was even an election, but those were those early days of being a mom. And I just, everything because growing up the way I did and not in like an ultra wealthy family at all, but a very privileged white woman, girl. Like there was nothing for me to ever worry about. I was exposed to nothing. My family was not political. We did not talk about things. I remember when I first was able to vote, I would say to my dad, like, who should I vote for? Like I just didn't I've had no need in those days, right? As dumb and sheltered as that sounds, I grew up in Chicago. We briefly moved to the suburbs. I came back to Chicago to go to college, and I haven't left since. And I've always just kind of lived life, right? And then Trump the first time came about,
Yeah.
and that woke all of us up, I think, who had maybe not paid attention to politics before. But it also felt very much like this isn't going to last. Like people aren't going to stand for this, and his people around him keep quitting. And I care so much, but it's America's never going to let this go on any longer. And then COVID hit, and as a fourth grade teacher back then, I had to learn how to remote teach, and that is really though when I started to wake up and watch those
Mm.
daily briefings every day because we were home, right? So like all we did was consume news and media and anything that was on a screen because we couldn't go anywhere. So I just remember watching those updates and just becoming so involved and caring so much and thinking, okay, this can't happen again. And then, we elected Biden, which was the right thing to do. And it all felt like, okay. And then the mass shooting happened in Highland Park on July 4th, 2022.
Yes.
And I kind of entered the scene through gun safety and working for an assault weapons ban. So I was actually kind of reviewing my personal page just to kind of look back for today. And that is when I really started getting vocal on my own personal page. But this sounds crazy to say, but I think it isn't because of my blue bubble where I live. And it felt very safe to talk about this, right? Like
Right.
talking about wanting protection from mass shootings, I felt was a little risky on my personal page. I knew I had some people that might not agree with me, but it didn't feel like terribly dangerous where I was going to have to defend myself against friends and family. For the most part, people agreed with that. And I taught people how to or I shared things about how to call your reps and fill out witness slips. In Illinois legislature, we have witness slips that can be filled out to show your support or non-support for bills that they read in Springfield. And that felt like a great way to get going. And we passed it. Like, right, that was what should happen. It felt great. The assault weapons ban was signed into law January 2023. And I still kept with the gun safety stuff. And I always shared that on my page. And, had a little bit of pushback here and there from people, but nothing that was, felt uncomfortable. And then when Trump was elected this time around, I thought I have to do more. I care so much about this, and I want to do more. And so in early April, let's see, when was April 5th was the hands off protest
Mm-hmm.
in Chicago. That was my first ever protest that I went to, and went with my husband, my daughter, my sister-in-law, and loved it. Came home and started creating some stuff on Canva. I learned how to use Canva and did just like how to get involved because people at like in my life had started to know that I was in the know. I was following accounts on Instagram. I was sharing stuff in my stories. I wasn't creating too much for myself, but they were coming to me, be like, okay, Kristy, what are you hearing about this? What should we do about this? Who should we call? And I was getting very vocal about calling your senators and your reps. And then I created a little post that was like things you can do to take action. And it was just local things that you could do to get involved. And people kind of came out of the woodwork and were like, can you make this public? I really want to share it. And I put it on Facebook and I was able to make that shareable. But on Instagram, I thought, this is my personal page. I didn't really want it to be public because it's my family. And one day later, my sister was like, why don't you start an account? And I said, for what? Like, what would I say? And she was like, this people care. People are coming to you. They know, I am to a fault, a research junkie. So when I fall into something, whether it's like medical or anything, I over research to death and people know to come to me for anything they need. And she pushed me to do it. And we came up with Buildtomorrow.chi, and that was it. And that was April 15th. So one day after I did
Wow.
that one little post on the 14th, I started Build Tomorrow, and it has truly been amazing.
Wow. So you also, obviously, you're a Gen Xer, younger than us, but
Yeah.
within the same. And you described yourself, Gen Xer, that like the people pleaser, afraid to hurt feelings. How did that part of your identity and sense of self play into how you got involved and stepped up?
So it's still very much there. It's getting better, but it is still like if I do get a comment or a DM or something, I instantly like my heart rate goes through the roof, and I'm still like, oh gosh, I said something wrong or I offended somebody. But I think that is also my appeal because I think that's how I approach everything is like especially when I first started, I wanted it to be a place of action where people could find easy things to do every day to get involved in all of this. And I wanted to do that in a very approachable way. You follow all the accounts. Everybody has their own approach, right? People are big and important and special for the way that they approach things, and that has always been me. Like I'm always the person in the faculty meeting, like Kristy, you speak, like you say that, like you know how to say things that like people will listen and they won't be offended or it won't come off, as snotty or aggressive. So I've always kind of had that. And I think that's just the people pleasing in me, the way I say things. So I think I've just kind of also embraced that and have used that in my talking, especially just to kind of bring people in, to make people feel like number one, you can do this, and number two, it's like full of these really amazing, caring people, and we want you here, right? So like that's kind of how, I don't know if that answered your question, but that's
Totally.
kind of like just kind of how, I mean, that's just me as a person too, I just kind of, it is who I am. I have had to tone down the worry a little, which is what happened when that reel exploded. I was like, oh my gosh, people are going to know. It's like, well, my sister was like, well, that's why you're doing this. I'm like,
Right.
it's true. Yeah, that is very true. But like, lots
Just
of people are going to know.
like I want to do it. I don't, and it doesn't need to be me. I just want to do
Right.
it. I will say this, like, because we're recording, obviously it's still the holidays. Lisa and I talk a lot about how there were a lot of people that were already out there. They were already creators that were like, do you think I wanted to be doing this? I was doing recipes. Do you think I wanted to be doing this? Like I was talking about, entertainment and stuff.
I
And
mean,
then,
even us, this was not our intention to be
right,
talking political stuff as much as we do.
right. That, yeah, it completely drove the direction of where this has gone. And what I love about what you're saying is like, it's what brought you here. Because I don't know if you've seen these memes going around, but like just recently, right? We are faced with a lot more facts that are even worse than we thought about
Mm.
CCOT, about what's happening in these detention centers, about things in the Epstein files, whatever it is, and white women are just putting out their content is what someone said. It's like, oh, I just cringed hearing that. And I was thinking about something you said, which was like, the more people that look like us that stand up and get together, there's other women in your Chicago networks who have been recorded saying that too. Like all it takes is numbers of people that look like us. And I think that's such an important thing to say. And it isn't, it's more uncomfortable than it is anything else. And I think that's what you're inviting people to do. Like get uncomfortable. You won't be as uncomfortable as you think.
It's just our turn, like it, and in unlearning everything I've learned and learning what has really been happening since this country began. I didn't know about all the fights that were going on. As I said in a walk a week or two ago, like we were taught like, things were just fixed, like, things, the civil rights movement fixed everything, the pilgrims and the Native Americans had this wonderful meal together and they were so thankful. And, we just rolled along with like, yep, check it off. Problem solved. And
Columbus was
yeah,
fantastic. He found
great
America. Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
And,
Great guy.
all those things. And, no, and there's been people fighting through for forever, and I selfishly didn't know about it, and so I have heard people say like, well, look at these protests, especially the early ones, like it's just all white people, and that's like, well, who do you think should be out there? Whose turn is it to get out there and talk? Also, when you invite people that don't look like me there, it turns into something other than a protest, and then it gets
Mm.
dangerous and
Yeah.
it's taken in a different way, right? And now I'm happy to say the protests are amazing. Everybody's out there,
Like a
no,
party.
yeah, and nobody is nervous anymore. But yeah, I think I hate that comment. I do understand it, of course, especially when it's coming from a certain groups of people. But I just feel like we've been living the cushy life for a really long time with nothing to worry about. It's time for us to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think again, going back to your authenticity and just being you. When it blew up, I remember you and I were texting. I was like, okay, I know what you're thinking right now, and just like don't put a lot of pressure on yourself and just be yourself. Because I've had that experience as well where I thought, you know what, nobody gives a shit what I have to say. And then I might put something like, I'm going to back off a little bit. And I've had people come on and be like, no, 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 we look to you to tell us what to do. And I remember after the first Trump regime, somebody said, Lisa, what do we do now? I'm like, I don't know, you know. But I think that's the key to all of this is we don't have to have all the answers. But if we all
Mhm.
do our part, it all shakes out in the wash, you know, and it's just a matter of setting aside our fears, stretching ourselves a little bit, which you have
It's
certainly done.
also, but it's also like, it's just time to get into our community. I mean, and I've
Absolutely.
said this a million times on my walks too, is like, this is terrible. This is nothing we ever wanted to live through. People's lives are being destroyed by the thousands right now. But the only silver lining, and I really do hate that word, but the only silver lining in all this is that we are forced to talk to each other in a way
Yeah.
that I don't since I was little, like since pre-technology, right? Like
Yeah.
that we have not done. And I would always say, well, of course, let's donate to this. Let's do, let's give some money. Let's do these little things. But I've never rolled up my sleeves and like gotten into it, and everybody needs to be doing that, no matter who is in charge politically. It doesn't matter. Like that's
Agreed.
the thing. That's why, like, I know there's so much call for a national strike, and that's a whole nother conversation. But we do not live in a country where there can be a national strike at this moment in time because you're not inviting people in to feed them for days. Like
Right.
you can use all these other countries where they have done like a 1 day strike and things have changed dramatically. And they'll say that's all it will take. And it's like, well, we're not set up for that.
No.
That's not how our capitalistic economy is set up. You have to go to work, you do your thing, you come home, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you do it all over again. There isn't that sense of like someone will take care of me if I don't get paid today. And that is what we're building though. That's what all these groups are coming together and doing. And it'll live long after we outlive any of this, which is the beauty of what is happening. The only beautiful thing of what is happening right now.
When we did our 150th episode, and Carrie's first question to me was like, what belief has disappeared that you thought you had? And my initial response was, my belief that people were good. But then as we were talking about it, I went back around to we've seen the worst of humanity, no question, and probably will continue, and it might even get worse. I wouldn't be surprised. But we've also seen the best, and
Right.
to watch Chicago step up in the way that it has stepped up reminded me, no, 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 we do still have the best of humanity. You know, you and I had this conversation of like the little sort of theory that was going around that one of the reasons ICE was hitting some of the more affluent neighborhoods in Chicago was thinking that white people would be like, fuck this noise, I'm not doing that. Let's just get them out of here. And fucking hell, man, that did not happen.
Mm-mm.
Lakeview, Lincoln Park, white women were
North
out
Shore.
there. North
Mm-hmm.
Shore, yeah, Wilmette. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
That's
for
what's
those of you who don't know, those are very ritzy parts of
well,
Chicago.
also like
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte now. Like, oh, like, you know
Same.
what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Like that just blew me away. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So going back to what you're doing, you're involved, obviously. You created Buildtomorrow.chi, and then you're also involved with Indivisible, the Edgewater, which is one of my favorite neighborhoods, other than Rogers Park, where Kristy and I were from. Um, where those are that's the area that you're working in Indivisible on. So what does that work look like? How are these groups coming together?
So when I first started Build Tomorrow, I didn't know a lot about Indivisible Chicago, which is one of the major Indivisible team, the National Indivisible. It's one of their, obviously largest groups. And when I started posting, and within a week, I kind of like had a couple women that I had not even met, spoken to, whatever. I could message them. I was kind of DMing them a little bit, just asking for like someone like reached out and offered me a tip just on like sizing my canvas
That's
slides, like so silly, but like, hey, just want to let you know. And I instantly got this feeling of like, these are just strangers who are out here supporting each other. Like, this is really cool. Like, I'd never thought this would be like my crew of women I text 700,000 times a day with. But in the beginning, it was just that one of the girls is one of the leads of Indivisible Chicago. And she reached out to me and said, hey, we are looking for people. I really think you would be a great addition. Now, something about me is like, groups that are bigger or and people that are bigger than me, I'm like awestruck, right? I could never live in LA, Lisa. I wouldn't function. I would be like constantly like frozen by celebrities, right? So when she reached out to me, I said to my husband, I was like, oh my God, like this woman from Indivisible Chicago wants to meet. Like I was talking to like, the queen, right? And I chatted with her and she was just a nice, normal person and was like, we need help. Do you want to help? And so I kind of got involved with them. And then that led me into kind of Indivisible Edgewater was kind of starting to form. I went to one of their meetings and just kind of jumped in from
And does
there.
that take
So
over like a bunch because an individual Edgewater, like, is there one for Rogers Park?
no,
And
so it's
so,
Edgewater, Rogers Park, Uptown, Andersonville, and Westridge.
okay,
So
makes sense.
it
Yeah,
could be
okay.
like Indivisible North Side would
Sure,
probably
sure.
be, but Edgewater was a lot of the people that are on the leadership team live in Edgewater. So
Got it.
they kind of started it up. They live right on Sheridan along the beach
Okay.
over there. So so we got going over the summer and it's a lot to organize. I am not gonna lie. It is everyone has real lives and then are doing this too. But we operate outside of Indivisible Chicago. There's a
Mm.
ton of Chicago chapters, not probably 7 or 8 underneath Indivisible Chicago that are neighborhood based. And so we just organize things for the neighborhood. So we have like community gatherings. We have the hands off Chicago signs for when ICE first came, distributed those to all the local businesses. We are very fortunate to be in a very blue area. We're very progressive area where
Yeah.
we couldn't keep them in stock. People wanted them. Like I was putting them on my front porch and people
Can
were
I tell you a
grabbing
quick
them.
question? Quick,
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt you, but since you said
No.
that, Darren just found 2 nights ago a Chicago bar not far from where we live. Like he went to see a band play, and it turns he walked in and everything was Chicago, and they had a hands off Chicago sign.
That's amazing.
I know. I said to Darren, I
Wow.
was like, "Did you get to talk to the owners because that hands off Chicago sign, like that's from ICE, like that's
Yeah.
brand new." And he was like,
Yeah.
"No, I." He's like, "But whatever." Side
Yeah.
note, but I was just like,
Very
"That's
cool.
even that." They even had that
Yeah.
in there.
That
My
is,
new
yeah.
favorite bar that I haven't gone to yet.
Um, can I ask a question? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah. Go for it. No, no, no. Good.
Just, I mean, partly because, like you said, people were busy. They have lives. Like, um, the organizing I've been doing, there was a lot of generosity going into the holidays, and then
Mm.
people have gotten sick. People have had their kids home, so it's like, okay, got to gear back up. So I'm
Mm.
curious what you're learning about like doing this together as a team of women versus doing it on your own. So that's one question. And then other than that, like how it's like all these women who like great intentions and really like care about this a lot. But it's like I think everyone wants someone else to tell them what to do. So it's like how did that come about? Like how do people like that start actually making stuff happen and stop waiting for someone to be like, here, be here at this time?
Mm.
So when Max and I, my husband and I were just talking about this the other night, it is the organizers are of 2 age groups and they're not us. So they are younger. So a lot of the rapid response groups. So rapid response is what has come together in Chicago for ICE to help keep people safe. And this could be a whole part if you want to get into it, I can, but if there's a lot to talk about there. They are young, a lot of younger people, a lot of people in their 20s, 30s, work from home, single or partners, but not kids, people that can be at a school on a moment's notice with their whistles around their neck to patrol and keep people safe, or who can be out on the streets tracking or showing up to where there is activity, or retired people.
Yeah.
So that is the 2 main groups of people who are organizing all of this, Kari, and they don't stop. Like there is no like, oh, it was going for the holidays and then it's not. No, they are around the clock. And I don't know if it's just because of what we've been through here in Chicago that has made it that way, or if it truly is just the nature of the city, which is a great way to think about it too, is that people were just kind of waiting to be able to come together and do this. But that is really how it has worked. So I am in a amazing rapid response group called Edgeville that I don't actually do much of the rapid responding because I'm at school. I'm working all day long,
Sure.
but I'm helping like with strategy sides of it, right? And like creating Instagram content and just planning and things. And the majority of the people, there are some people my age, and it's men and women. I'm very happy to say. So these groups are full of men and women.
Nice.
Yeah, but it is like the leads I feel like are a little younger, and they're just it's a different generation as well. So they are first of all, they're so good with technology, and they learned a lot of things in college that we did not learn. I'm talking to them. I'm like, you had a whole different educational experience than I did, like just the way what they grew up with, right? So they have this
Mm.
whole skill set that I feel like I don't have, which is really cool. And I think then when you bring all the ages together, we all kind of have our differences that really bring out all the best, right? We all have these little things that we can contribute. These people I'm on the Edgewater leadership team with, I am much younger than. They are OGs. When I was just in Zoom with the other night, she was talking about um, canvassing for Harold Washington. I was like,
Oh,
who was
wow.
the first Black mayor of Chicago? I'm like, you guys are amazing. Like they were out in the 70s. Like they
That's
were not my
amazing.
parents. Like this is how they are. And they're just using what they did when they were much, much younger, which is so cool. And that's this whole area though, right, Lisa? Like
Yeah.
it's full of those people. And I think
Yeah.
that is the beauty of it. I think that's why it's
That's
been so
really neat.
successful.
Yeah.
And the rest is just the nature of the younger people that live here too. It's a very eclectic group. It is you have everything in the north side of Chicago.
Yep.
Every culture. I mean, you have everything. And and it's a lot of groups that are fighting anyways. There's a lot of marginalized group. There's a huge LGBTQ population here that it's just great. Like it is all these people that were born for this moment. And I just kind of
Mhm.
stepped into it. I don't even know how I still don't know how I got to be part of this really cool group.
Well, they're lucky to have you.
I was gonna say, because you're really cool. And also just like side note, I hate to burst your bubble, but you're now one of those people that I am
Yes.
certain there are women out there that if you reach out to them, they'd be like, fuck.
Yes.
Seriously. I mean, and I say that not only like because you're doing great work, but I do often think like I've been following Jess Craven for a really long time, and she just lives here in LA somewhere. I've yet to run into her at a march, but our marches are like you guys so big. But I'm just like, she's just a mom.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's just a mom at some point, or just
Right.
a,
And I said that a week or two ago in my reel. I was like, I was trying to motivate people, and I was like, I am no one special. Like, I am just this person that uh, wanted to use my voice and my privilege. And I mean, the comments were just like, I hope you're joking. Like, you are so amazing. And I'm like, I didn't say this for those
right,
amazing compliments, but it does make you realize like not everybody can do this or
right.
is able to, or so I guess those of us that can really should. And that's then where I met my creator group. So this group that I'm all over Instagram with all day long. They are such an amazing, there's 15 of us, and it is unbelievable. People I probably would never have crossed paths with, that I never would have run into. We're all different. I'm probably like the second oldest, and then it goes younger than me. But some are moms, some aren't moms. Some live here, some live in the western suburbs, which they have had an insane amount of ice activity in the western suburbs that has not been nearly as loud as the Chicago area, but
Oh,
they have
that's
areas that
interesting.
have been hit way harder than like think of like Cicero and Little Village, like
Oh,
out
yeah, yeah,
there. They
yeah.
just surround like
So like
apartment and
what burbs?
like Elgin,
Oh,
Carroll
oh, I have seen some
Stream.
Elgin. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
I have
Wow.
girls running that out there. It's so amazing.
I talked with one of you. It might have been you that night that I met you, Kristy, but like, weren't we talking about how the strategy, and it's the same here, feels like they stir stuff up in the
Mm.
city to get your attention while they hit the suburbs pretty quietly but brutally. And
Mhm.
um,
Very much so.
yeah,
Yeah, they've
And the
really been doing that in
suburbs,
Portland.
in the suburbs, much like Portland, I'm sure, because I think it was you or someone, and you share such great things with me, Kari, that I always try to share, because that's a whole nother conversation on how little is being shared and how much is happening that we don't know about. But the
Right.
spread outness of any area outside of where I am makes it next to impossible to rapid respond and patrol.
Right.
It's too
I mean, that's the way
big.
it feels here in LA. Like I don't think
Yeah,
we have
LA too. You don't
anything
have
like
this.
that here, you know. And it's funny, I saw a post, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's like ICE is still in LA, everyone. But
Yep.
it's not getting the notice, you know,
Someone
that
just shared that you have people, so many kids still not going to school in LA.
oh yeah,
We're
yeah.
never hearing about that.
Or
Yeah.
kids working at their parents' carts because
Right.
their parents can't leave home. Yeah, there's a lot of that
Yeah,
here.
we have that here too. But yeah, so the suburbs had to develop their whole own thing, because what we do here doesn't work. You can't just like walk to the corner and
Right.
have the activity be there with your whistles. It's just not that easy. And there's so many different locations that they can spread up around. So it's just so cruel. It's just so sickening. And I do hope, and I do think that this is the one issue that is bringing people together from all sides. That,
This and
hearing
the
that,
Epstein files, I think.
yes,
Yeah,
this and
for
the
sure.
Epstein files, but
Yep.
this hearing that they're planning on building these detention centers to hold 80,000 people at a time, like
And
it
the
is.
fucking names.
Oh my
Operation
God.
Midway. And
I know.
what was
Midway
yours
Blitz. What was yours in Portland?
yeah, what was yours in Portland? Did you have an
I
operation bullshit thing? Uh-oh.
We did.
Oh,
We
I thought you
did.
were
No, I can't remember what
because
it
they're
is.
It
all
was
so
Charlotte's
It'll come.
Web.
Yeah.
yeah, Charlotte's Web. Oh my God. Needless to say, with my daughter's name in their mouth.
Yes.
Fuck you.
Forget it. Yeah. Yeah. And that was really, I mean, when they went to Charlotte, which was so quick, right? Like
Right.
they were there very briefly, but I started to realize our power and our reach,
Yeah.
because I had women who follow me who, if someone DMs me, I try to always to message back. I'm not always successful at it, but I really, really do try. And so I had made a couple connections with, I didn't even know where they lived, just people that were always commenting on stuff. And they started to reach out to me and were like, hey, we need help. Like,
Mm.
what can you send us? And then I don't think I even realized how much we had prepared, like the business kits and the know your rights kits and all the stuff that's in my link tree now. And that
And the
stuff spread like,
whistles and all that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the whistle making kit, like what
Well,
you
can
need
we
for
let's
those. And
let's talk about this. I mean, we've touched it. You've
I
hit a
just
bunch
remembered. It's Portland Sweep. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. So, can you break it down a little bit for us? Like, how were these systems built? Because it felt like, again, we were in Chicago. The thing in Broadview happened right before the retreat. Like, I remember Saturday of the retreat sitting in my hotel room, like crying, trying to pull it together before I had to go downstairs because the bullshit had happened where they zip tied the kids in Broadview,
oh,
right?
that was that. Yeah,
Or
that
was
was
not
that week.
Broadview, that was South Shore.
South Shore.
So that
I
happened
thought it was
Friday
both.
night.
Yeah.
And then
No,
Saturday
South Shore.
night, we have what feels like the most glorious river trip in the world. We finished the retreat on Sunday. Charlotte and I leave on Tuesday to come back to LA. And it was like Wednesday, all hell broke loose. And it started in Rogers Park, which holds my entire heart. And I was beside myself. And yet, almost immediately, you all, meeting Chicagoland, like were on it. So walk us through that.
I wish I could. It's like such a blur.
I
It was
bet.
only
I
3
bet.
months ago.
I
Like,
know.
and when I got in with this group I was referring to, I just kind of started to meet in person because we're really just on a chat. And I said to them something like, well, how long ago did you all start this? And they were like, oh, last week of October. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like, that's how quickly, like, I was like, wait, in 2 months, you have built what is happening. And it's far beyond that, right? Like, we're raising money for bail
I
funds,
know.
because these people that are taken and then they're deemed like, oh, mistake, but you owe $12,000 to get out of this prison now.
Jesus.
Like, we're not just going to let you go, even though we made a huge mistake here. So we're doing, we're trying to help families in that manner
grift.
too. Oh my God, it's such, yeah. So I think groups of people just started coming out of their homes, right? Like people that
Literally.
people that kind of knew each other and were like showing up to the scene. I wish I could figure out like where the whistle was first, like where that
Oh,
first.
you don't know?
I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting because
I
it
don't.
did start in Chicago
Yeah,
for
it
It
was
sure.
just
did.
like all of
Yeah.
a sudden, like get a whistle, and you couldn't find them anymore.
And you
Like they
told how
were,
to
It felt like
like what
yeah,
Rogers
whistle
Park.
meant.
It felt like all
yeah.
those people at
So
Halloween where like they
yeah,
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
there's been a couple like key groups. Belmont Cragen neighborhood was one of the first neighborhoods that were hit really hard. That's a more west side neighborhood, and they organized very early. And I do
Okay.
believe I should look this up while we're talking, but I do believe the whistle kit came from them, like the little sheet of how many times you blow and all that.
Yeah.
And it was really just like building the ship as you sailed sort of thing. Like people were anything that was reliable and good you got, and then people were downloading Signal for the first time on their phones and just creating these massive chats and that's where the communication started. And it was
Wow.
very messy at first. It was very like cluttered and oh, I think they're here. I think they're here. And then this is what I'm talking about, like these younger people. I feel like they organized like license plates and they just started a sorting system for, oh, well, we have this one on this car and putting together visuals every single day and like
Wow.
just and every time it comes back it comes back, like people rest while they can. And I think people who are just leaders have kind of risen up into the tops of these things, like people that just possess those leadership skills and can make quick decisions and put groups together, and everyone else is just there waiting to act. Like everyone's just in the
Mm.
wings, like if they're home, if they're in the right spot, like we need someone to drive through the Home Depot parking lot, that's on the chat, got it. We need someone over at Warren Park, got it. Like
Wow.
there's just,
That's
these
amazing.
huge groups of people, hundreds on each, group that are assigned to different areas. And I was joining everything I could join, in the beginning of this, because I just wanted to be in the know. And then I was like, I can't, like, there was so much action. So I've taken it back to places where I'm like, first of all, I'm taking up space on that chat and I can't
Mm,
respond even if I wanted to. So I got purposeful about that. But it was very organic. It was very like, how do we get people together? And then of course ICER, the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant Refugee Rights Groups, they back in the summer, well, back in Trump 1.0, I did not even know this, that they were already, or there was already so much going on during that we didn't know about. I sure
Right.
didn't.
mm, yeah.
And they were already running, and a lot of trainings. And then of course our hotline is a model for everyone. And I hate to say this, Lisa, but I went to a training where they said we learned a lot from LA being the first ones that went through.
Yeah.
And I think every city, of course, has had a chance to. And we had a long time. There's a lot of threats for Chicago, but it took a minute to
Yeah.
happen once they
Yeah.
were in LA. And I went to one of those trainings about a month before down at the Hideout. It was a very cool, like, speaking engagement. And they were like, we're ready. Like,
Wow.
we already had things ready. Now we've seen what's worked, what's not worked. And they have this one phone number that you call in all of Chicagoland, which is very efficient and very well run.
Great.
And
So you're just proving my point again though, right? Like this is what I want everybody to understand. Because and Carrie and I have said this before, the assholes are the loud ones. The good people are quiet and just doing the work, right? So when I said that in the 150th episode and was very quickly able to turn it around, it was like because mainstream media, legacy media is maybe a better word for it now, they focus on all the shit, right? And they give him airtime and they give Hegseth airtime and they give airtime to all this crap. Really, the majority of us are good people wanting to do the right thing. I'm actually not at all surprised because I just think of being, I also think what people don't know about Chicago is a very big city, different than LA in that we have all these neighborhoods, right? LA is vast. You can drive 45 minutes and still be in LAUSD. It's crazy, which
wow.
is hard for us, right? That's why it's hard to do, like you said, almost like
Yes.
trying to handle the
Yeah.
suburbs. But I mean, yeah. So LA is vast. But at least in my experience, in my 20 years there, in each individual neighborhood, people do get out and talk. I mean, you know, and have community. And so in some ways Chicago was perfectly built for this. But Trump wanted to say, nope, it's a hellhole. Nope, everybody's scared to walk out. Bullshit.
Mhm.
Bullshit.
Yeah, and I think he thought that would be an easy sell, right?
Yep,
Like, there's a lot of
totally.
crime here. It's a big city, right? We
It's a big
all
city with a
have
lot
our
of
crime.
people.
We
Yep.
have a lot of work to do. We need to invest in community like never before. We need to start dumping money into well-lit community centers
Yep.
and other places. We need to bring grocery stores and green space. I mean, there's so much work to be done. And from learning about all of this myself, how this was all purposeful, right? Like, this is how this is
Yep.
all set up, right? And we have a lot of work to do, but that's not it's not a hellhole. Like, there
No.
is,
Yeah.
it's not. And we people took that so personally. They
Yeah.
took
I
it
love that.
so personally. It
I mean,
was
I think
like,
Portland did the same. LA
yeah, I
certainly did
agree.
the
I think
same.
Yeah.
everyone
Like,
has.
again,
Well,
Yeah.
get
yeah,
your
I mean
name out
that
of our mouth, your mouth.
they, his administration 1.0 hated us, declared us an anarchist state, and
Yeah.
said it was like Beirut, and then they used footage from actually Beirut.
Oh,
So yeah, it's ridiculous and so interesting, just the lies. Like when you're on the ground somewhere hearing what's being said, and then people or might work with are on the phone going, "Are you okay?" I'm like,
Right.
yeah, we're like on a bike ride to have a picnic down at a downtown park. It's like we're fine.
yeah.
Well, and that's the
Yeah.
thing, right? We've talked about this, man.
Yeah.
Legacy media was like, LA's on fire. I'm like, I live a mile from everything that's happening and I'm
Yeah.
not seeing jack shit. Again, LA is vast.
Yeah.
Say 1 square block of downtown LA is having some trouble. That's
I
what was
mean, and,
true.
and there is some activity. There definitely is. It's usually like confined to a block. The police always keep saying like we can handle that,
Yep.
yeah, they make it sound like we're all burning our cities down, and it's just like ridden with crime. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
fear is what keeps us in step.
Well, and I love when I'll have people comment like, "Oh, okay, white lady, go back to your suburbs. Like, it looks
Yeah.
so dangerous there. Like, you're really." And I mean, Lisa, you know where I live. Like, the north side of the Chicago, in the far north side, is
Yeah.
not a ritzy
No,
area. Like,
it is
it is
not.
so diverse. It is, it
Isn't
is
Rogers
not.
Park the most diverse neighborhood in the
Yeah,
country? Yeah.
in the whole, yeah, this whole area, this Rogers, Westridge, this whole little nook is, I mean, my entire, like, 2 blocks from my house is Little India. Like, it
Yeah.
is, it's not downtown.
it
I'm
sounds
not living.
Right.
dreamy.
No,
It
It
sounds
is
dreamy.
dreamy.
yeah, but it's not, very average priced homes. Like,
Pretty
that's
working class, pretty blue
very
collar.
working,
Yeah.
very blue
Is that where
collar.
Loyola Chicago is?
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm west of there. But
Uh-huh.
Loyola that is Edgewater,
Yeah.
Rogers
Yep.
Park.
Okay.
It's like butts up, yeah. And then I'm a little west of there, but it's a whole little. It's all the same, all the same. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah. I just want to laugh and be like, I'm sure, yeah. That's
Because
you're picturing the wrong thing, buddy.
and because the other thing I just want to throw in, and then I know we have another great question, but the other thing that just was so heartening, and I think other cities have done this as well, is the buying out of vendors.
Mhm.
The restaurants that would buy out the vendors and then give the food away at their restaurants. Like they weren't even selling it. They were then just giving it away. They were
Mhm.
buying out the tamales. They were buying,
Yeah,
uh, just
yeah. It goes back to the
amazing.
good people, right, Lisa? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
all I had to do was mention that we wanted to do something like that, and I mean, overnight we raised $2,000. It's
Amazing.
just, it's people truly want to help from everywhere. I have people writing me from Europe. I mean, I have people from all over the world that comment and are like, we are cheering for you. We are
I've
pulling
seen
for
that.
you. And those kind of people can only donate with money because they don't live here. So they're like, what can I give? I was in San Diego over Thanksgiving, for soccer with my kids at a tournament. And I met a woman who follows me on Instagram, and she just was there watching someone and came up and was like, "Oh my God!" And my family now, these people that live in this house, they love to poke fun at Build Tomorrow. It is
Mhm.
a nightly, multiple times a night. Like, it's all in good fun, but it is
Yeah.
really become a hilarious joke at our house. They rename it all the time, and very funny. So when they saw this woman come over, they were like, "Oh, here comes Build Tomorrow," big joke. And she was so lovely. And I ended up talking to her for a very long time. And she wanted to help. And she sent hundreds of dollars of hand warmers to my door 2 weekends ago for all of our rapid response patrollers. She was like,
Amazing.
Wow.
how can I help? Like, give me your address. I am sending you boxes and boxes of hand warmers. And that's really who's out there. So this loudness is so distracting.
Hmm.
But the majority of people in this country do, and other countries do want to help.
Oh my gosh. I want to go into everything you're saying because we could do that, but we have some more good questions. So, I was saying how, I was inspired. In fact, like something you reposted about someone who said, go into these neighborhoods and support these businesses. Yeah, right. And I did that. I remember telling you, Lisa, I'm like, I'm gonna like extend my plans this afternoon and go to Hillsborough and just like walk
Ah,
around and like, so I
Because that's
love
the
that.
neighborhood that, or the part that's really getting hit in Portland,
That's
right?
one of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I've reposted those scenes from their uh, city council meetings that you guys have seen a lot of.
Yes.
mhm.
Um, but also east of here gets no attention in Gresham, like none. And there's so much happening there. But anyway, so for people who feel helpless, right? And also it's like I'm listening to you and you say this so eloquently, like this is really a marathon, not a sprint. This isn't a just show up one day and help. Don't go to like one march and think you've helped. But don't feel bad about it either. Like, how do you
Right.
get people to like stay engaged when they have no clue where to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's when I started my page was really just the outreach I wanted to give people, like these little simple things that you can do to take action and get involved. And whether that is donating or going and helping out at a food pantry or, a clothing closet if you have one of those in your neighborhoods. Those kind of places can always use extra hands. And it sounds silly, but even just like reposting and sharing stuff that you are seeing on social media, I hate when I know why social media gets such a terrible rap. Like I get it. I have two teenagers in my house. I understand it. But for this moment right now, it is so important. For the part that we're talking about, right? Of just
Yeah.
if that's all you've done that day is shared something in your stories or even remixed it so that it comes up again on your feed so that someone can see what's happening in these areas, Kari, like you're talking about that literally no one in the country is hearing about. You've done something, right?
Mhm.
Helping out your neighbors. We did, me and my friend group did a 24 days of advocacy advent calendar where we were just giving like one day a week, one each day, just something little. And sometimes it was a money donation. Sometimes it was bake cookies and drop them off at your local school office because teachers love baked goods, just
Mhm.
little things that I always think of it as like a little thing that you can do to take the load off of someone else or just give them a little brightness to their day, like a little smile. Like I go to Costco, I get bulk of the granola bars, and then I have my whistle kits in my baggies, and we have a free little pantry a couple blocks away. And every time I take Woody, I throw a few granola bars in and a couple whistle baggies of whistles, and easy. Like it didn't take any time. It was minimal money. And then when you need a break, like December for me, I felt so terrible, but school was so busy. It was holidays. I didn't get half the things done I wanted to, but I realized like that was my time where someone was filling in for me and I just needed to take care of, keep my job and, and do all those things that I needed to do. Um, I just think it's like it's not as big of a deal as people think that it is. You don't have to be running an Indivisible or a rapid response group. Like you don't have to be that into it. You might want to be. And in fact, I can guarantee you probably will want to get to that level once you get into it because it's pretty addicting to be around these kinds of people. But just little things are so important, even if you're like, oh, that wasn't that big of a deal. It was. It's all of us doing these little tiny things, right?
Everything counts. And I do think, and you hit on something really important there, which is also rest, right? Like
Yeah.
we are not built to actually do this as a marathon. People aren't built to run marathons, period. But
No.
we're not built to do marathons. And so when you can do a little bit and then can't do a little bit, it is okay. And that's the whole reason why getting more people in is so important so that the workload can be spread for sure.
Yeah.
Um, You wrote that despite what's going on, you're thankful for the person you're becoming. So can you share a little bit? Maybe this will be the thing that makes people jump in. What has this work meant to you personally?
I will never stop doing this work. Like, no matter when we are hopefully in a better place, not too far away, because I can't handle all the pain and suffering that is happening. Um, I it is me now. Like, this is me, and it might be a little unsufferable at times. My family sometimes I think is like, Mom, because I turn everything into this conversation, you know.
Yep.
But and Lisa, you and I talked about this over the summer, and you said something about how, like, people come into a moment when it's their time to come into it. Like, I was telling her how guilty I have felt that I haven't always been doing this. I haven't always been going to marches. I haven't always, and Lisa said something along the lines of, people come into things when it's their time to come into it. Like, this was your time to join this. And I am so thankful that I am. We have done a lot of anti-racism and work like that in my school district, all during COVID and through 2020, probably to 2022. We did a lot of anti-bias training, and it was very important. And I thought a lot about myself and the things that are ingrained in us, right? And the things that we just have from where we grew up or who we've grown up around. And I now feel like I am putting all of that to use in, like, a way that I don't even have to think about it anymore. Like, it's just me now. It's just like how I think, how I am, how I act, how I dream at night. It's like, it's everything it's all I want to do. It's
Mm.
kind of all consuming. And hopefully it'll be more manageable one day soon, where we don't feel like we have to work around the clock on this, right? I hate taking breaks because coming back to the news is virtually impossible to get caught up in all the things that you have
And
missed.
you shouldn't. And you shouldn't. Just let
Yeah,
that
but
stuff go.
that's my
I would say it's like
neuroticness.
it's like
Yeah,
turning
yeah.
your back on the ocean, right? It's like
Yeah.
I've said to Lisa, I'm like, is it better to eat shit and nibbles or
Yeah.
just like get a pie in the face? Ugh.
Yeah.
But like,
But
to
it
your
is,
point, though, this can't end even when we inevitably get another Democratic president because,
right.
ICE was developed under Obama.
Mhm.
This stuff didn't happen under Trump. It got amplified and used
Yeah.
worse, but Border Patrol, that kind of stuff, this,
It's been since Bush. Like, it's been a long
exactly.
time that we've had
Absolutely.
this.
Same with the
And
Epstein. I mean, we're not here to talk about the Epstein files, but the
no,
Epstein files
oh
didn't happen
God.
under Trump, So
Yeah.
we have to remember that when the time rolls back around where we can take a breather, we also can't stop. Maybe
Right.
there doesn't need to be no King's marches, but there still needs to be the community building and the activism and all of those things because we didn't get here overnight.
No,
Well,
I shared something a while ago. I can't remember where exactly. Bernie Sanders went to West Virginia, maybe. It is such a powerful little mini documentary. I shared it on my Instagram about how they is where
mhm.
unions were born,
Yes.
and all the reasons of why now it is one of the reddest places in the country. And it's like, it was so eye opening for me. It was
Mm,
like, oh, yeah, this is why we're here. This isn't only because of the last, 18 months. Like,
right.
Right.
this is
And
this is a perfect storm, right?
I
Yeah.
think what you're also demonstrating, and yes, it's a blue area, but what you're also demonstrating is one of the other gifts that's come out of all of this mess with just the amount of corruption and the amount of money that's being made off of these detentions. Like if someone
Yeah.
just wanted to look at this economically and who's benefiting from all this, this is not a left right thing. It is an up down thing, and that's what Bernie's been saying for forever, right? Like this is a majority of us really do care and want
Yeah.
dignity for all human
And the
beings. And
reaction of those people to him, who came in like foully, right? They were like,
right,
ew, we
right,
do not align with to, like, some of them were crying by the end of it with, oh my God, I
Mm.
didn't know that is who you were. And it's
right.
like,
And
that's who we
actually,
all are, right? Like,
Yeah.
I remember some conservative people, someone related to, saying, because they didn't trust Trump, but they didn't like Hillary, so they would have voted for Bernie. So it's so interesting. And like so many of the people who voted for Trump also voted for Mondani. So like there is a populist thing here that we're hopefully all learning. I do want to ask you, just as a follow-up to Lisa's question, like, is there anything about the way you've grown in all this that surprised you?
I think the level of like bravery, like I don't want to say like I'm not a brave person. That sounds like a terrible thing to say, but I am, I mean, I've always been like a more of an outspoken, like I'm obviously an extrovert in many, many ways, but just the way like I've kind of leapt in with like, yeah, let me try this. Or I have a level of perfectionism as well, that can get in the way of things about not wanting to do something wrong or be wrong. I think, which is why I research so much because I don't want to not know something or say it wrong. And I've had to put that aside a lot to be like, I can't know everything about this, and that's okay. But the moment is now, so do it now, and then it's okay if there was some messiness there. We can clean it up later, sort of thing. Yeah, I never saw this for myself. Like I never, well, who could have predicted this, right? But there's been community organizers for all of time, right? This is not a new thing. I just never thought I'd be the one. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know if that even answers it. It's
I'm so glad you are.
I think you just titled the pod too, by the way. It's now going to be called The Moment Is Now. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I always think about that from Pod Save America, where they'd be like, say something, be like, oh, that's going to be the title of the pod.
Yeah,
that's going to be the title of the pod.
I had a working title as Unexpected Activism.
Also that's both are true. Okay, so I love that you've said, and we've said it a couple times here, right? This isn't going to end anytime soon, meaning doesn't matter who's in office, you're going to keep working on this. So people who are worried about burnout or taking on too much, how do you think about and not, excuse me, not just you, but thinking about all the women you're working with, how do you think about staying engaged without feeling overwhelmed, without burning out? How do you make sure that you do rest?
So I think one of the best part about all of this is the community that is here waiting for anybody that wants to get involved, and how supportive it is. So whether it's people you've met in real life, you haven't met in real life, people you're just messaging with, in either on Signal or on Instagram, or I don't do TikTok, but wherever you are, they're waiting, and they are literally like, if one of us even mentions like, man, I am not feeling great today, it is like an overwhelming, it is time to take a break. Like it is time for you to step away. We are here, do what you need. It's so nurturing. And I guess that's like the base of all of this anyways, right? Is to have that empathetic personality. But if you want to do little things by yourself, great. Like that's when you're going to come into this community that encourages it. Like seriously is all about take a rest. And now it's to the point of people being like, I'm offline this week. And they just call it out. Like one of my good friends in the group is like deleted Instagram from her phone for the week. She's like,
Carrie does that. I'm very impressed with that. Yeah, Carrie does that. I know.
I cannot.
Very impressive. I can't either.
It's more about like, you guys maybe have better discipline.
No, God, no. Have you met me?
No. I have it, I'll open it. And so
I just don't let it bother me.
Yeah. I can't. I'm always impressed.
Yeah, that is kudos. But little things like whatever you need of just like and the other thing about it all is that, and you said this to me over the summer in a different manner, Lisa, of talking about how I need to stop saying yes to so many things, which I took to heart, is that there is always someone who's going to pick up where you are not. So there are so many people involved in this now that if you are burnt out, you are feeling like, I need to focus on my family, I need to focus on my work, I need to focus on getting my house in order, whatever it might be in that moment, there is someone else still there. The movement has not died because you are taking your break, or the group
it's using your voice even in that manner.
Yeah, true.
And asking for help in some ways, even if it's not an actual ask. It's just saying, I need a minute. Yeah.
I need a minute.
She's a man, Jen. I'm sure that surprises you, Carrie.
Not at all.
I mean, I apologize a million times for it, obviously. That's the Gen X in me, of course.
Yeah.
And there's one of
Midwest.
the other Gen Xers in my group, we're always like apologizing for everything, and they're like staff apology, but we're sorry. Like we are, I didn't
I'm
mean
sorry,
it.
I'm apologizing.
I'm
Yeah, yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm tired.
Okay, so there's so many more places I want to go, but I do want to get to this, and I also want to give you your time back since teachers need their precious time during the breaks. Before we close, can you share your favorite song or theme song that you shared with us?
Oh, it was a very hard one. I
That is a
love
perfect
music,
choice.
but I don't know the music until I hear it, if that makes any
Mm.
sense to you. And
Yes.
you probably does not to you, Lisa. You are like such a guru. I never know until I'm like, oh, that's one of my favorite songs, but I could never tell it to you till I like
Mhm.
hear it in the car on the radio. U2 is one of my favorite bands, though. I have such good memories of like college and of friends. And Max and I went and saw them in concert right before we bought the condo, Lisa. We like put the down payment down on Sherwin Place like the day after. I think
Oh.
yeah, we were like all ready to get that condo. That's where Lisa and I met. And so I do love them. They're one of my favorites. I've used them in a lot of Instagram stuff. So I picked Beautiful Day. That was the first song I used in my first like
Oh.
protesty reel on April 4th. I used it for the hands off, and it's very hard for me not to use it every time. And I just, when I'm in this work and I'm either at a protest or just collaborating, it is so beautiful. It is seriously like the happiest, terrible time
Mm.
ever right now. Like it's so terrible. And yet I am so happy and fulfilled and motivated um, every second of the day. I mean, I'm not a great sleeper anyways, but I'm really not a good sleeper these days. It is impossible for me to turn my brain off. But that's not a bad thing. It's not because of a bad thing. It's because I'm always, I don't know. It is beautiful. This is very beautiful what this country has done to combat what we are going through. So, yeah, I landed on that song pretty easy. I did think
Love
of a
it.
lot of others, but that was the one.
I
I'll
love you
repeat
too.
this. I said this in another episode last year as well, but what I've been thinking about doing this interview, this keeps coming to mind, which is something I saw, I don't know, a couple of months ago on Instagram, and it was a guy from overseas doing a reel saying, you know, America is so worried about what's happening and so distraught, and they should be, but at the same time, you guys are combating something in less than a year that it has taken other countries decades to fight.
That's
And
nice.
it's just something that I really hold on to in the depths of all this. When people say, oh, this isn't America, well, as we both know now, all three of us know
It
now,
is.
it is America. But in that, this also what is America is the Tea Party, meaning the original, the Boston Tea Party. We don't stand for this shit, and so I really have to grab onto that. It might have been a reel, it might have been a comment. I don't know where it was, but I just remember being like really struck by that to remind ourselves that we are combating this in a much faster turnaround time than most countries have done in the past. And that's not to pat ourselves on the back. We've learned from those countries.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the thing that makes me proud of us and all of our cities and all the cities that are going to be terrorized by ICE that are going to stand up to this shit. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, in the end of this, if we could just put politics aside, right? Red, blue, it doesn't matter. Like everyone is supporting their communities in
right.
in ways, right? Everybody's got food pantries. Everybody has Salvation Armies or Goodwills or places where people that don't have enough can go. And that's always been like people aren't like because of their political affiliation, they don't like not care about their communities.
Right. Neighborhood Watch has never been
Right.
partisan. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like it's always, and so my hope is, and I'm sure that's not the way it will go down, but when this is over, like that people can just realize that that's what this is all about is like,
Yeah.
it's just humanity. Like it's human beings that we care
Mm.
so much about. It really is like so simple when you think about it, and then it breaks your brain because it's so complicated.
I know.
Yes, such
So
a good point.
terrible.
So
Which
dumb.
is a perfect lead into my next question. If someone wanted to take the next best, small, realistic step, what would you invite them to do?
So I talk about finding an indivisible chapter all the time. I realize they are not everywhere, but they do have a weekly call every week on Thursday afternoons at 2, the Indivisible team that you can listen in on. And sometimes
That's
I
the
join on.
national one?
Yes, the
Okay.
national one. If you just go on Indivisible's website, you can, I think it's called Join the Call or something. They introduce new chapters every week, and
Mm.
they can't even introduce them every week because there's so many now every
Of
single
course.
week in the teeny tiniest places of the reddest states. There are indivisible chapters.
Mm.
So if you, and I say this all the time when I walk and talk, but that is a great place to start because you know you're going to find people who are like-minded and want to bring about the same change that you do. So I think that is the best place to start. And if there isn't one, I don't think it's very hard to start one. We did it in Edgewater. So I think you get a group of people that want to organize, and there's a form you fill out, and they welcome you very quickly because that's the network, right? Like they're pushing out
Yeah.
all the information. I'm on the council for the Illinois or the Indivisible Chicago Alliance Council that we all are on from all from the suburbs, all the Chicagoland area. They have a call once a month and it's all coming from Indivisible, and that's kind of the network. So I think that's
Nice.
just a great place to start or start a chapter. Again, you don't have to know anything to get into this. You don't have to have a history degree. You don't, I mean, when I started this in April, I wanted to just learn about my local government. I knew nothing.
Mm.
I didn't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say I always voted. Did I research? Not very much. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even pay close enough attention. I was like, oh, Democrat looks nice, has some kids, check. Like, did not do my due diligence, right? Like, I just don't have to be, it really takes nothing more than caring
Yeah.
about your
Mm.
community and wanting things to get better. That's truly all it takes. You don't have to know much more than that.
Mm.
You're forced to learn it along the way. Not forced. I shouldn't say that. You want to, because then you want to know how this works so that you know how to get out of it. So, right.
Kristy, if people want to continue to learn more from you, where can they find you and learn more?
Okay. So Buildtomorrow.chi is my public Instagram
Which
that,
is CHI.
yes, CHI, sorry. Like Chicago, the shortened version.
Yeah.
Build Tomorrow. And that is where I am 23 hours of the day.
Walking and talking.
Right, Lisa.
Okay.
You can find me there. Also, if you are on the north side, Indivisible Edgewater is the local Indivisible chapter here, and it is at Indivisible Edgewater on Instagram. That is also me. So you are writing me in either capacity.
Is it
and
indivisible
so,
dot Edgewater?
yes,
I just
it
want to make
is.
sure.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I mean,
It
we'll
is.
have all of this in our
Yes.
show notes and so
Yeah.
forth, but I just want to make sure in case people are listening and don't read the show notes,
Yeah,
which you
no,
should because
Indivisible
Kari does
dot
beautiful ones.
Edgewater. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Kari.
So buildtomorrow.chi
Mm-hmm.
and indivisible.edgewater.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Excellent.
both on Instagram, and Indivisible Edgewater is on Blue Sky too, but I'm not on there nearly as much for you Blue
Nobody's
Sky
on Blue
fans.
Sky, unfortunately.
Okay. But mostly Instagram. But yeah, that is there. My link tree, for those of you not super familiar with that, when you go to someone's bio on Instagram, there is often something called a link tree. And then you click on that, it has a ton of links. So that is something I have worked really hard on curating. And I've actually spent a ton of time over winter break, which has been so awesome on my couch with a blanket, working on all of that, switching from coffee to wine, just to keep it going throughout the day. But that link tree has so much information, and now does the Indivisible Edgewater. Edgewater is going to focus on a lot of voting stuff. So I've started compiling voter resources. We've got our primary March 17th here in Illinois. So there's lots of stuff, and they're linked to each other too, so you can easily find them. But those link trees, if you're looking for anything, resources, mutual aids, places to donate, whistle kits, know your rights things, and these can be from outside of Chicago and Illinois as well. A lot of these are applicable to wherever you live. If you're just looking to get started in your community, those are great places to start. So
Thank you so
you're
much for
welcome.
saying yes. I'm so excited to promote this episode. I'm just so proud of you. I've said it a million times, but
You're one of my first cheerleaders, Lisa. Thank you for encouraging me. Seriously, you're texts. And I mean, I don't know how big I would have turned this into, but people like you are why I really kept going and dedicated more and more time and energy. So thank you.
Well, I'm honored to have been your cheerleader, and I will continue to be forever and ever. So thank you so much. And thanks to everyone who's listening. No matter where you are, this is a really important episode. So please, please, please share it. Because honestly, it's going to hit everybody sometime. You may think you're in a town in a red state where ICE will never show up. I promise you they'll be there. They're in Ohio, they're in Dayton, um, they're in Columbus. They're not they don't care what color state you are in.
No, it's all about the quotas. So
Yep. Yep.
Well, thanks for listening. We will be back next week with another episode. And yeah, after you share it with someone, please like and follow because the more visibility and the more this gets heard, the more it gets out, the more people join the fight.
Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week with another episode.
Bye.